Okay everyone, we're on to adding fractions. I'm going to split up adding, subtracting, so you don't get too overwhelmed. Let's go straight to our important reminders for adding fractions. Number one, so important, so important. You must find common denominators, okay? Try to get the lowest common denominators, but you got to get a common denominator, whether it's the lowest one or not. Remember, multiplying, dividing, you did not need to do that, but you have to for adding. And spoiler, you have to for subtracting too. Number two, you cannot cross cancel. I'm sorry everyone, the ninja slicing ends now for a couple days. If you have something like 2/3 plus 6/7, you cannot go, oh, I'll ninja slice this and get 1 and 2. No, there's no ninja slicing with, actually the only thing you can ninja slice with is multiplication. Because remember, even division, you didn't ninja slice, you didn't cross cancel until you turned it into a multiplication question. Alright, and number three, the very controversial, you may switch mixed fractions to improper. You can do that. I would say most students do that, but you don't have to. And in fact, many people, like the guy talking right now, we don't do it. We leave them mixed fractions. So I'm going to show you both ways. I'll admit most of my students over the years do switch them to mixed fractions, but I would encourage you to at least check out this way of not switching them. It can make your life a lot easier sometimes. Alright, let's get right to it. Gotta love this first question here. You're adding, and remember when you add, you need common denominators. Well, look what we got here. We've got common denominators. So we don't need to worry about that. Now, how do we add fractions? We keep the denominator the same, and we add the top together. 4 plus 2 is 6. Why does the bottom stay the same? Because the bottom number, the denominator, just kind of names the size of the pieces we're talking about. We have 4 pieces which are fifths, right? 4 fifths, 4 pieces which are fifths. We have 2 more pieces which are fifths. So in total we have 6 pieces which are fifths. That's why it stays the same. Alright, you can leave that there. Perfect answer. Or if you want, 5 goes into 6 one time. There's 1 left over. Either of these answers will do the trick. Alright, number 2, we need a common denominator. We do not have one, 9 and 3. Now, I know some people always find the common denominator just by multiplying these together. 9 times 3 is 27. That's fine, it'll work. But you are going to be working with bigger numbers than you need to. Because the lowest common denominator is actually 9. How do I know that? Well, it's kind of like if I counted by 9, it would go 9, 18, 27, 36, etc. If I counted by 3, it would go 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, etc. What's the first number that they both have? 9. That's why it's the lowest common denominator. Okay, so I'm going to end up with 2 fractions that both have a denominator of 9. Well, look, the first one already has a common denominator of 9. You don't need to change anything. But the second one, you do need to change. What do you have to multiply that 3 by to get 9? You have to multiply by 3. And of course, what you do to the bottom, you also do to the top. 2 times 3 is 6. Now we're ready to go. Keep the bottom number the same. Add the top. 5 plus 6 is 11. Great answer, or if you want, 1 and 2 ninths. Either one works. Okay, number 3. We have common numerators in this one. It doesn't help us. We want common denominators. So what do 8 and 6 both go into? You could multiply them and get 48. That works. But the lowest thing they actually go into is 24. The way I usually find it, if it doesn't just pop in my head, is I take the bigger number, in this case 8, and I ask myself, does 6 go into 8? No, it doesn't. Okay, if I add another 8, what do I get up? Well, 8 plus 8 is 16. Does 6 go into 16? No, it doesn't. So add another 8. 16 plus 8 is 24. Does 6 go into 24? Yeah, it does. Alright, I got my answer. Lowest common denominator is 24. So, I got to switch both of them. What do you have to multiply 8 by to get 24? You got to multiply by 3. So what I do to the bottom, I do to the top. What do I have to multiply 6 by to get 24? I multiply by 4. So what I do to the bottom, I do to the top. And we're good to go. 3 times 8 is 24. Perfect. 3 times 5 is 15. 6 times 4 is 24, yes, and 5 times 4 is 20. And now I can get my answer. Denominator stays the same. Add the top. 15 plus 20 is 35. I'm very happy with that answer. If you want, 24 goes into 35 one time with 11 left over. Keep the denominator the same. And this one, oh my gosh, 4 different fractions here. So we have to get the lowest common denominator of 2, 3, 4, and 6. That's not easy, is it? So again, I would probably start with the biggest one. Do 2, 3, and 4 all go into 6? No, 2, 3 do, but 4 does not go into 6. So if I go 6 plus 6, I get 12. Does 2 go into 12? Yep. Does 3 go into 12? Yep. Does 4 go into 12? Yep. I just found the lowest common denominator. So I'm going to have 4 new fractions, each of them with a denominator of 12. What do you have to multiply the 2 by to get 12? You multiply it by 6. What do you have to multiply the 3 by? You multiply it by 4. How am I going to squish all this in? What do you multiply the 4 by? You multiply it by 3. This is a times 4. It's awful. This is a times 3. What do you multiply 6 by? You multiply it by 2. And we always do the same to the top, right? Okay, so in this one, 6 times 2 is 12. Good. 6 times 1 is 6. Next one, 3 times 4 is 12. 2 times 4 is 8. Next one, 4 times 3 is 12. 3 times 3 is 9. And the last one, 6 times 2 is 12. 1 times 2 is 2. Get our answer. Bottom number stays the same, the denominator. Add the top. 6 plus 8 is 14. Plus 9 is 23. Plus 2 is 25. So we get 25 over 12. How many 12s go into 25? 2 of them, with 1 left over. Keep the denominator the same. Either one of those answers works. Okay, we're moving, people. Now we're going on to the mixed fractions. So if you look, this question right here and this question right here are the same. Why would Mr. Watch do something like that? Is there something wrong with him? No. He wants to show you 2 ways you could answer this question. So the first way I'm going to do this is I'm going to switch them to improper fractions. I find this is the way most people like to do it. So if I switch this to improper, I would go 4 times 3 is 12, plus 1 is 13. So I have 13 over 3. Plus 5 times 5 is 25, plus 2 is 27. So I have 27 over 5. And I get why people like to do this, because now you have a question that, you know, is just like the ones we did in the previous side of the page. You're just getting common denominators and going from there. But the problem is you start getting some pretty big numbers here, 27, and they can get a lot bigger than that. But anyway, let's just follow it through and see what happens. What's the lowest common denominator of 3 and 5? Well, actually, the lowest common denominator is when you multiply them together and get 15. There's nothing else that they go into. I mean, until you get to 30 and 45. But the lowest is actually 15. So we're going to have something over 15 plus something over 15. Okay, what are we multiplying 3 by to get 15? We're multiplying by 5. What are we multiplying 13 by? The same thing. What are we multiplying 5 by? 3. So you got to do the same to the top. So 5 times 3 is 15. 5 times 13, ooh, it's not that easy, but it's 65. 5 times 3 is 15. 27 times 3, oh, this is really getting kind of hard, but I guess it's 81. Now we can get our answer. Bottom number stays the same. Add the top, 65 and 81. Ooh, there's not more big numbers here. That'd be 146. And now if you did have to switch it, I won't insist on it, but if you did have to switch it to improper, this would be pretty hard. How many times does 15 go into 145? That would be 9 times, which gets you up to 135, and you'd have 11 left over. But again, there were some hard calculations there, right? I want to show you how keeping it in mixed form actually can make it a little bit easier. So we're doing the exact same question now. Okay, exact same. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to just look at the denominators, which are just 3 and 5, and figure out what the lowest common denominator is. Well, it's the same as over here. It's 15 again, right? So what you're going to end up with is a mixed fraction, which is 4 and something over 15, plus 5 and something over 15. How do you figure out the something? The same way you did before. What do you multiply 3 by to get 15? 5. Do the same to the top, to the 1 there. What do you multiply the 5 by to get 15? 3. Do the same to the top, to the 2 there. So what do you get now? This is 3 times 5 is 15, good. And this is 1 times 5, which is 5. This is 5 times 3, which is 15, good. And this is 2 times 3, which is 6. Okay, how do you finish this off? It's not that bad. All you have to do is add the big numbers together. Well, 4 plus 5 is 9. And then add the fractions together, 5/15 plus 6/15. How do we do that? Well, we keep the denominator the same, 15, and we do 5 plus 6, which is 11. Look at that, my friends. We have got the same answer here as we got there. So you'll notice with this one, I didn't have to do all these more difficult things like 27 times 3, 5 times 13, 65 times 81. The hardest thing I had to do was 5 plus 6, I think. It is a little bit easier. Now when you see that, you're probably like, some of you might be like, oh my gosh, I'll never do this method again because this is so much easier. There is one little hiccup here. The next example will show you, and this is why some people don't like this method. So again, I have the same question twice. I'm going to do it both ways. I'll do the first one pretty quick. We're going to switch this into improper. 8 times 6 is 48, plus 5 is 53 over 6. Oh my gosh, this is big. Plus 7 times 3 is 21, plus 2 is 23 over 3. We need common denominators. Lowest common denominator of 6 and 3 is 6. Okay, we got lucky. We don't have to do anything to this one. But this one you have to multiply by 2 and by 2. So 3 times 2 is 6. 23 times 2, actually it's not that bad. It's 46. Here's a little bit of a difficult step, but not bad. 53 plus 46 to get the numerator. That is 99. Oh, nice number, 99. And of course the denominator stays the same. This isn't in lowest terms. So this is a good point. I'm glad this question came up. If you left this question like this, 99 over 6, I would not give you full marks. It's not because it's not in mixed, it's because it's not in lowest terms. Let's put it in lowest terms. You know what you can divide those both by? You can divide them both by 3. If you divide it by 3, you get 33, and 6 divided by 3 is 2. This is a great answer. I would give you full marks for that. And actually, now that you've done that, it's easier to put it into mixed form. How many times does 2 go into 33? 16 times with 1 left over. So these answers here are great. Full marks for either one of those. If you gave me this answer, the 99 over 6, that'd only be a part mark. We want them in lowest terms. I don't care whether it's mixed or improper, but it has to be in lowest terms. Okay, let's do it again, but this time let's do it by keeping it in mixed form. So we're going to keep the 8, we're going to keep the 7, we've got to get the lowest common denominator 6 and 3, just like before it's 6. So it's going to be 8 and something over 6 plus 7 and something over 6. So what did you multiply 6 by to get 6? Oh, we didn't do anything to it. We multiplied by 1, so it's going to stay the same. It's just going to be 5. What do we multiply the 3 by to get 6? 2. Do the same to the top. So 2 times 2 is 4. Okay, and remember our strategy. We're going to add the big numbers together. 8 plus 7 is 15. Then we're going to add the fractions together. We have 5 6 plus 4 6. Well, the 6 stays the same, the denominator stays the same, and we add the 5 and the 4, and we get 9. And there we go. There's our answer. What do you think? Well, there's a couple of things I don't like about it. One thing I don't like about it is 9 over 6 is not in lowest terms. Why don't we divide them both by 3? 9 divided by 3 is 3, and 6 divided by 3 is 2. There we go, lowest terms, right? Looks good? No, this is not good. Why? Because it's a mixed fraction, but in the mixed fraction, we have an improper fraction, right? 3 over 2 is not a proper fraction. It's an improper fraction, a top-heavy fraction. We don't want an improper fraction in a mixed fraction. So how do we get out of this mess? This is why some people don't like this method of keeping them mixed. It's not that bad, though. Here's what you do. You take a look at this improper fraction here, and you change that into a mixed fraction, right? 3 over 2 is the same as what? Well, 2 goes into 3 one time with 1 left over, so 1.5. So basically, what we have is actually this 15 plus we also have this 1.5. So if you add those together, 15 plus 1, you add the big numbers together, the 15 and the 1, you have the 16, and you have the 1/2 left over. 16.5 is your answer, just like we got over here. So it does work. So the thing to remember is when you have a mixed fraction, like if you have 4 and 2/3, it's kind of like you have 4 plus 2/3, right? And that's what's happening here. You have 15 and 3/2, which is the same as 15 plus 3/2, which is the same as 15 plus, well, 3/2 is the same as 1.5, and then 15 plus 1.5 is 16.5. Okay, a couple tougher ones down here. So the first question, we have 3 things to add together. One's a whole number, one's just a normal fraction, and one's a mixed fraction. So I don't know, I'm going to do it once. Which way do you want me to do it? Oh, I hear so many people saying, put it into improper. So I'll do it. 1 times 9 is 9, plus 4 is 13. So you got 13 over 9 plus 6. Now, wouldn't it be nice if 6 was a fraction? Why don't we make it 6 over 1? Remember, any whole number you can make a fraction by putting it over 1, and 11 over 12. Great, now we can get our lowest common denominator. So 1 goes into everything, so you don't really have to worry about that. It's the 9 and the 12. You could multiply them together and get 108, but there are a couple things smaller than that. Let's use my method. Does 9 go into 12? No. Add another 12, that's 24. Does 9 go into 24? No. Add another 12, that's 36. Does 9 go into 36? Yes, I did it. I found the lowest common denominator. It's 36. So we're going to have something over 36 plus something over 36 plus something over 36. What do we have to multiply the 9 by? Multiply by 4. Do the same to the top. What do we multiply the 1 by? Oh, 36. I got to multiply the top by 36. I don't like that. What do I multiply the 12 by? 3 to get 36. Do the same to the top. So 4 times 9 is 36, perfect, and 4 times 13 is 52. That's a little hard, but this one's even harder. 1 times 36 is 36. 6 times 36, oh my goodness, that equals 216. Wow. And then 12 times 3 is 36, and 11 times 3 is 33. Denominator's no problem, it's 36. Top's a bit of a problem. 52 plus 216 plus 33. It equals 301. Oh my goodness. Putting this in mixed form is not the easiest. How many times does 36 go into 301? It goes in 8 times, and 36 times 8 gets us up to 288. So we're going to need another 13 to get to 301. So it's going to be 8 and 13 over 36. Here's another question where keeping them mixed would probably have made this a little bit easier. So we have a BEDMAS question here. We have 5 6 times, and then in brackets, 3/4 plus 2.5, and then all that divided by negative 4.5. Wow, what should we do first? Well, we got brackets. Let's do that first. So we got to go 3/4 plus 2.5. All right, this time I will change it for sure to improper, because when you end up multiplying, it has to be an improper form anyway. We might as well do that. So I have 3/4 plus, if I put this in improper, 2 times 2 is 4 plus 1 is 5, so 5 over 2. So now I have to get common denominators. Lowest common denominator of 4 and 2 is 4. So if something over 4 plus something over 4, keep this one the same, and multiply this one by 2. What you do the bottom, do the top. So that means the top is going to be 10. So we can now get this answer, add the top, keep the bottom the same, 13 over 4. Okay, next step, we need to multiply it by 5 6, right? So I'm going to put 5 6, and let's do that. We don't need common denominators when we multiply. We can ninja slice, except we can't ninja slice. There's nothing to ninja slice. So we're ready to multiply. Multiply across the top, you get 65. Multiply across the bottom, you get 24. And we're ready for our last step. So what we'll have now is 65 over 24 divided by negative 4.5. So first of all, that means a positive divided by a negative. So is our answer going to be positive or negative? It's going to be negative. So I can ignore the negative now. Let's keep this one the same, and we have to do this now. We have to turn this into an improper fraction. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1 is 9 over 2. How do we divide? We keep the first fraction the same, and we multiply. We don't want to divide, we want to multiply, and flip the second one. Take the reciprocal, right? Now we can ninja slice if you can see any, and I can see the 2 and the 24. Divide them both by 2, you get 1, and you get 12. And sadly, I think that's it. So on the top, we have 65 times 1, which is 65. And on the bottom, we have 12 times 9, which is 108. And that's it. You can't put that in mix because the numerator is smaller. Oh, whoa. It's negative. So let's put our negative. And now we've completed this question, and we've completed this video. Okay, next time, subtracting fractions. See you then.